What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 53 of the College Loop Podcast. And I'm no longer alone in the studio. If you've watched the College Loop and the Auburn Daily Show back-to-back days, I'm not alone for once. I have Harrison Tarr and also Brooks Walton is here. Brooks, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Thanks for having me back again.
We're acting like we didn't just talk for an hour and a half about NFL football, but
yeah,
Tarr,
poor Brooks was just trying to enjoy his Monday evening, and we're over here like, hey, so by the way,
it's called prep.
Yeah, we'll call that prep work. It was kind of prep work, actually. For those curious, we did get into a very long, drawn out NFL conversation, which is super unlike me, actually, and not something I usually partake in. But I was really feeling it today, and I needed to get the voice warmed up and get the hot takes coming in. So we got in good shape. Always exciting to have Brews Day with Brooks. So man, let's get rocking and rolling. Let's talk NFL draft right around the corner. First round on Thursday evening. Hoping I don't get to watch it, to be completely honest with you. Not just hate on the NFL draft. I really hope that the Atlanta Hawks wind up winning at the Garden on Tuesday. That's not happening. But I do have tickets to Game 6 of Hawks Celtics. I almost said Hawks Bucks. What a fun series that was. What could have been. Anyways. Imagine. But NFL draft right around the corner, guys. And Dylan has put together a really, really good list that we're going to break down and provide for you guys and get all of Brooks' takes here and talk about what these Auburn guys could look like and then at the next level, because I think there's actually a pretty good slate of talent coming into the NFL out of the Plains this year. Dylan, I'll hand it over to you. Let's get this ball rolling. Let's talk NFL draft superlatives for the Tigers.
Yeah, and just to get started, if you don't know already, I've mentioned a couple of times, the NFL Draft is on April 27th, which is my birthday eve. So my early draft present, a lot of people have been making graphics for it. So Carolina Panthers, hope you're listening, because what I want for my birthday is Bryce Young. Please, for the love of God, draft Bryce Young. And if you take Will Levis,
That was a loud silence.
Loud silence. Just know you'll make me very upset on my birthday. Just so you're aware.
Yes.
Just so you're aware. Well, it's early birthday present.
Sure.
What's the opposite of belated?
Yeah, right. I think it's early, but yeah, carry on.
But yeah, if you didn't know, Auburn has plenty of draft available talent, starting with Derek Hall, Owen Papo, Colby Wooden, Eku Leota, and Tank Bigsby. There we go. I was about to say Chadrick Jackson. Could be because pro days are kind of wild. John Samuel Shanker, Anders Carlson, and I think that was it for all the declarees or who all participated in pro days.
I'll be honest, those are the only guys whose names are going to get thrown around in the next 15 minutes anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
You're right. And just before we get started on the superlatives, Brooks, have you had anybody that you were close with during your playing days that got ready for the NFL draft, and what kind of stress goes into that?
I mean, everybody in there is stressed out about it, even if it's a person that you might not think as an outside fan, like, oh, this person might not even get drafted, or like they're probably going to get drafted pretty late. Like, those dudes are still working like crazy, because especially for a borderline guy, like if you can get, like you said, shed on his pro day or anything like that, like if you can get looks and all of a sudden bump yourself up from maybe an undrafted free agent to like a third day pick, like that's huge. That's life-changing money, and that's a huge opportunity. So it's not more important, because, even if you're a guy like Derek Hall, you're trying to jump from maybe 10 to 7, at which point you make X amount of thousands more dollars. But, especially for like the day 3 guys, like all the people that kind of fly under the radar as like, yeah, this could be a draft pick guy. This could be somebody that could help at the next level, but is not your like absolute stud 5-star All-American guy. Like, they need it just as much. And yeah, they're putting every work they can into pro day, because once you get that one chance, then, I mean, who knows? You could go anywhere with that. So they're all really excited. I know they've been working their butts off for a long freaking time to get there.
And to kind of build off that real quick, Brooks and Dylan, I'm sorry to interject. There's the names that we're throwing around about these former Auburn Tigers that are going to the draft right now. You played with a good bit of these guys, and on the same side of the ball, Derek Hall. And you look at Eku Leota's right there. Owen Papo, obviously. You spent a good bit of time with Owen. How excited are you to see these guys that you shared so much time with and spent so much time with go through this draft process? And how happy do you think they're going to make some NFL teams?
It's really cool. Yeah, I mean, it's just neat to like personally know some of these guys and like know all the work that they put in and kind of see the type of person that they are like on the field and everything and how they lead and how they work really hard and how much like they love football. Like those are guys that love football, and obviously you're not going to make it to the next level if you don't, because that's your job. And if you don't love your job, you're not going to work hard at it. And the coaches know. Coaches and the pros are pretty smart. They know who cares, who doesn't. But yeah, it's really neat, and it's been like that. You know, it's been really really cool to know some guys that have gone the past few years in the draft and to kind of have a personal relationship. And like I can tell my grandparents like, hey, when the Eagles are playing on Sunday Night Football, like I know a few of those guys, and that's a cool deal, and it's a fun feeling, and it really just like puts a cool perspective on what I was able to do just to be able to be around these insane athletes. But yeah, it's really exciting to know them and to see where they can go. And I mean, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of surprises coming.
Right on. Dylan, let's get into the superlatives, man.
All right, so I got 5 superlatives for y'all. Starting off with the first one, which maybe is probably the easiest one. Most likely to start day one.
Why don't you kick it off, Dylan?
I'm going to go with Derek Hall. I think that's probably the easiest answer. This might go around the horn, just because I think he's the most NFL-ready prospect Auburn has to offer this draft. Just because Derek Hall is just a monster of a human being. He's fast. He's strong. He has everything you want from an edge rusher, and probably more. And I've been bewildered by some of the mock drafts that have him going past round 2, which I think is crazy because I mean I've done my own mock draft. He's a day 1 to me. I don't think there's very many players. I don't think there's very many players. I mean, looking at the edge rush position, I mean, Will Anderson, Tyree Wilson, and I think Miles Murphy are the only ones I can for sure say are better than Derek Hall, and
more NFL ready
than Derek Hall. And Derek Hall is just my answer because it's just that easy. Look, he's the best player Auburn has in the draft.
Sure. Your thoughts, Brooks?
I mean, yeah, I agree with that. I think for sure he'll be the first one out of all of our guys drafted. And with that, comes if he's, maybe a whole half a round, the whole round in front of the next guy, like there is pressure from the teams to like, we need to play these guys that we just got, especially if you were to get him in the first few rounds, like they're not going to make their decisions based off of that. But like you get a guy like Derek and you kind of feel like you stole him pretty early on and you're excited about it. And you see the type of body and the type of work ethic that he has, like he's going to earn himself an opportunity really quick. And I think he's one of those guys that can show up and like immediately will earn a lot of respect from a lot of people for whatever locker room he ends up in. Because I mean, that dude's going to work really hard and the players know who can play immediately pretty much when guys show up. And I think he's going to earn a lot of time before he really even steps out on the field.
I'm not going to overthink this, and I'm just going to go ahead and echo what you guys said. It's Derek Hall for me. And to build off of what Brooks said just super quickly, you're going to hear me say this a lot in this show. There is an element of these guys are freak athletes, and they're prepared to play at the highest level of the sport. But there's also an element of going about it the right way. And you've got a lot of guys in my opinion, in this pool of Auburn talent coming into this NFL draft that go about football the right way and carry themselves the right way that will serve to a tremendous benefit to a professional organization. Derek Hall, prime example. There's a couple other guys I think that will probably circle back to that point. But in terms of most NFL ready and could start day 1, I couldn't agree more, Dylan. I think it's got to be Derek Hall.
Yeah, so that, again, round the horn, Derek Hall. And so next one, most likely to be classified as a steal of the draft. And you know what, Tarr, I'll start off with you.
With me, okay. I think we've got a couple of different answers here, so this one we can finally break apart. I think I'm gonna play my homer pick here, and I'm unapologetically going to say this. I think Owen Pappoe could really be considered a steal in this NFL draft. I think he was. I've said it once. I've said it a million times. He was a bit criminally underused at Auburn, and I don't know that the situations that his change and lack of what's the word I'm looking for here. I guess continuity over his time at Auburn did not serve him well. I think this guy, we know he's a freak athlete and he's a gamer. I think that this is someone that could really make an impact at the next level. You can say what you want about his size. You can say what you want about his frame. The guy plays football the right way and plays football at a very, very high level. Not to mention another one of those guys, like I mentioned about Derek, that can just kind of really attribute and contribute to an organization from a PR standpoint as well, which that is tremendously valuable. We've seen so many of these stars get in too big of trouble. So my answer there is Owen Papo. Brooks, I want to get your thoughts.
And yeah, I don't want to just keep piggybacking off of y'all, but I mean, I think it's gonna be Owen too. And I mean, obviously, like I feel like I know him pretty well, and so I can't speak as much on the other guys as much as I can him. But yeah, like that dude he loves to play football and he's really good at it, and he is a really, really God-gifted athlete. But more importantly, like he understands the game, and that guy loves to learn about football, and that's just huge. I mean, like I said, like he can come in there and immediately in training camp, like start impressing people based off of how much he knows and how much he's learned. Like that's where it could kind of benefit him being under a bunch of different coordinators while he's at Auburn, like because you get tastes of different types of schemes and different types of ideas. And so all of a sudden, you know, he could be a guy that no matter where he ends up, he's going to have an idea of what they want him to do pretty quick. And then from right there, I mean, especially with the way the league is going too, like you don't really have like your Brian Urlacher type middle linebackers anymore. Like, I mean, Urlacher was pretty revolutionary because he was quick and he could move. But guys like Owen, I mean, like you need to be able to cover the running back out of the backfield all the time. You need to be able to be on the field as much as you can, and that means being on the field and passing down, being able to cover a lot of space. And you're not going to find many faster linebackers in the whole country than Owen, and like better change of direction guys. And so, and he plays the position hard too, and he'll blow people up if he needs to. So I really like the fact that, especially if he gets put kind of in a good scheme and a good division, it could work out really, really well for him.
Something that you could be excited to hear, by the way, Brooks. When he came on the show, Owen said he loves that Cowboys defense. I'm just saying. He said he thinks it'd be really fun to play on that Dallas defense. I know that might put a little smile on your face. Dylan, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to go off from the grain here. Colby Wooden is my pick for most likely to be considered a steal. And if you've heard me talk about Colby Wooden in this draft, you know that was going to be my answer no matter what. Just because I think Colby Wooden, I think if it wasn't for Derek Hall, we'd be talking about him as the best player in this draft. And I think just because the SEC in general and the rest of the country just produces so many defensive end talent that people just kind of forget that Auburn produces some of the best defensive ends in the NFL year in and year out. And Colby Wooden has the opportunity to be one of the best ones to come out of Auburn. And you look at it, I think last couple of defensive ends that come to mind, D Ford, I think was a defensive end because he kind of was before the whole edge rusher thing came about. I think Colby Wooden's strength is out of this world. And we saw that with his bench press. And if you watch, he's sneaky athletic. I watched him do the linebacker drills and the pro day and the combine category. He has cornerback level feet playing defensive end. It makes no sense. And I've seen a lot of mock drafts have him in like a 5th round category. And I think if you get him in the 5th round, you were getting an absolute steal of a pick because he has 2nd round talent written all over him.
Sure.
But just because the way the defensive end works and the way that Auburn doesn't produce the best film on their guys, especially the last couple of years, I think people are going to be really happy when they pick up Colby Wooden on day 2, day 3.
Completely agree. And I'm glad you strayed away there, Dylan, because there's some candidates that could fit a few of these molds.
Oh, yeah. And next one up, undrafted free agent who could turn into a star. So basically a guy who we don't think is going to get drafted, but could definitely make his team very happy during spring camps. And Brooks, you want to go with this one?
Yeah, sure. I think, I don't know. I'm definitely not a very good expert on who is probably going to get picked and who isn't. But I think a guy like Shanker, you know, he's got the type of ability to where he's good at everything, and he's not necessarily the biggest guy or like the most impressive athletically tight end out there, but he does every single little thing right. And so a type of guy like that, like he might not stand out enough to get drafted immediately, but I mean, I think he's definitely going to sign somewhere and he could show up somewhere and all of a sudden kind of show like, hey, he's not just going to be a hand down tight end that's just going to have to be a road grader and blow people back. Like, I mean, he can get out in flats and he can go out and run routes and make moves in space, and just kind of him being an overall, like a good kind of tool all around, good at everything you need the position to do without being anything that's like striking that might catch somebody's eyes when you first look. I think that could kind of set him apart, coming maybe right after the draft, signing with somebody, and then you could impress some people in camp.
I think that's a great pick, Brooks. And I'm going to go and jump in here, Dylan. I like Shanker a lot, and I think that Dylan, I think you're going to expand on Shanker, so I'm going to go a different route here, and a guy that if should he have the opportunity and be given the platform to play professional football, I think could potentially, based on his athleticism, wind up being a significant role player. I don't know about a star. Guys, I was impressed by Shedrick Jackson at Pro Day, and I know that a lot of people were kind of counting him out. I mean, hell, I am a lot of people right here. I'll go and admittedly tell you guys, I didn't have a whole lot of expectations for John Samuel Shanker at Pro Day, and then all he did was just prove me wrong and shut me up. Is that what Pro Days are geared toward? Absolutely, and I get it. But he is a freak athlete, and he's got a great frame. I think that there are going to be a number of NFL teams that look at this guy, look at his film, and say, hey, this is not a guy we're going to have to burn a draft pick on, more than likely. If we can go get him as a UDFA and kind of pick him up and see if we can craft him, this guy could wind up being a contributor on our team. I don't know if he will. I feel confident that Shedrick Jackson will probably dress for at least a preseason game this year. I feel good about saying that. I think he'll get a shot. And I don't, like I said, I don't know about the star capacity, but certainly a guy that if he can work on his possession first and get better at route running, that could be a guy that the NFL goes, yeah, this is the kind of athlete that we need, because that's a lot to do with it. So I'm going to roll with Shedrick Jackson here, Dylan.
Yeah, let's not forget Shedrick Jackson's Pro Day. He ran a 4.25 40, which is the fastest out of any wide receiver in this draft. At least the ones that actually ran the 40-yard dash.
Sure.
Because once you know you have that first round grade, you really don't want to stress yourself too much. But yeah, I'm going to go off of Brooks here. John Samuel Shanker is my pick. Fastest tight end in the draft. Ran a 4.53 40, which Auburn speed is just what they're about. And I think with Shedrick Jackson and John Samuel Shanker both popping off, it really shows how bad this Auburn offense has been the past few years. Because John Samuel Shanker, after the pro day he had, and where was this at? Where was it at? And I guess Bush Thompson saw something that Brian Harsin didn't, because he told him to stick with football for the last year of his career. Because Shanker, I think, is going to, in an ever-changing offensive NFL, the tight ends are becoming more and more important. Travis Kelce's, George Kittle, Mark Andrews, and list goes on and on. Sorry, I blanked for a second. I was trying to think who. Evan Ingram. There we go.
Evan Ingram was probably going to be my next educated guess where you were headed there.
Yeah, there we go. Darren Waller, who's now a Giant. That is. But Shanker has the opportunity to be right there with them. And he might be a little undersized at 6'2", 6'3"-ish, but that speed is next level. 4.53 is pretty daggone fast for a tight end. It probably won't be the fastest on the field, but it'll be pretty fast for a tight end. And he is a good blocker. That's another good thing. He's a great blocker, and his hands are reliable. I think if a team that desperately needs tight end depth looks at John Samuel Shanker, I think he could also be in start playing in a preseason and end up getting signed to a team full term.
And the last time we kind of saw someone deal with that kind of situation as an Auburn tight end, you look at Sal Cannella and look at the fact that he doesn't really fit a mold at the tight end position. He also doesn't fit that outside receiver position. So for those of you wondering why that guy's still not on a roster, I think that Shanker brings a different and probably more improved skill set to the table that's more pro ready. And I don't get me wrong, Sal Cannella, if he could have put things together with that frame, could have been really, really, really special. Even at Auburn, I think he could have been more special than he was. I don't know that he was used properly or taught properly. But John Samuel Shanker, you pair that with the painfully evident football IQ that he does have, and you think to yourself that this guy really could earn a shot.
Yep. Excuse me. The fourth, it came out of nowhere. It was like a sneaky cough.
You good there?
Wasn't even ready for it. I was getting ready to go hit mute, but not this one. Biggest sleeper prospect. So the guy that isn't getting talked about nearly enough. And I'll start it off, and I think Tarr is gonna also go off of this one as well. Eku Leota is my sleeper prospect.
It's a clear choice.
He's a guy who didn't get to play a lot last season due to injuries, and guess what? He's just as talented as some of the other guys in this draft, and he's not getting talked about whatsoever. I read through an entire 7-round mock draft because I'm a sicko, and Eku Leota was not picked in any of the later rounds, not even round 7. And that baffles the hell out of me, because when he was healthy, he was a monster. And I don't know what exactly that people aren't seeing that we are. Maybe we're just the premier NFL draft pod, because
I mean, sources are saying.
It might be our new bio now, the premier NFL draft.
To this
pod.
point in our existence, we've never been wrong about an NFL draft prospect.
Exactly.
Just saying.
And Eku Leota, my sleeper prospect. I wish he had more stats, wish he had more playing time, but the injuries, they suck. The injury bug gets everybody.
Well, my sleeper prospect's actually Brooks Walton. We entered his name into the draft without telling him. So we're waiting on the call, and we phoned in Dallas. We've told them, we've sent them your tape. They know. We put the word out there for you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm eligible. So if they want to call, I got my phone right here. I'm ready for it.
Yep. You're sitting there ready. You're ready. We're actually hosting. We're going to host the Brooks Walton draft party live on YouTube, and
Man.
that would be so funny.
Go ahead and tell your number to the world so we can just go ahead. So teams already know how to call you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the only reason. We're not going to try to get people to clown you. Anyways, I'm just going to hit retweet on a lot of things about Eku, Dylan, because I'm with you. My only complaint about Eku Leota his entire time at Auburn is that the dude was so unlucky that he didn't get to play more football. And he's a special player. That's the best thing you could complain about, right? That you just hate that he didn't get to go play more football, because this is a guy from the outside. And Brooks, you could probably expand on this more than we could. It looks like he just loves football, and he just goes about things the right way. And that his teammates, even though I don't think he's as much of a vocal leader as your Derek Halls, as your OPs, he kind of led by example. And also, I mean, his tape is really, really good, folks. He's going to make an NFL team very happy. So I'm just going to kind of let Dylan's spiel kind of tell the tale. I'm 100% in the college loop. 100% endorses Eku Leota. Brooks, your thoughts?
Yeah, he's a guy I agree with y'all. I think that like him just not being able to play much this past year is super, super hurt, because I mean, especially, he could make some plays and he could really, really get his name out there against SEC level talent. And you're not going to find better comps in college football than getting to play in the SEC all the time. And he really could have gone out there and made a name for himself. I mean, he did really well anyways. And, a grad transfer from Northwestern, like first off, he's got his head on straight. And everybody says that about people that graduate and transfer from places like Northwestern or Stanford or whatever. But I mean, he's a guy that came in and immediately, like, he was an awesome guy. And he's the type of guy that, like, you want to have in your locker room. He's just coming in every day. He's never head down. He's never like, man, we got to go to practice. Man, we got to do this. Coach yelled at me, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, okay. We practice. We do this. Coach yelled at me because I did this wrong. I mean, he's a really good kid, and he can freaking play football too. And I'm really excited about it. Yeah, I'm totally with you. I think that, like, that dude could end up making somebody really, really happy coming up out of nowhere. And you're going to have people around the country that, unless you really watch Northwestern, you really watch football, you probably don't really know who he is, because he didn't have time really to make a name for himself. There's going to be a lot of college kids that are like college football fans that in, a few years start watching the NFL and they're like, man, who is this guy? I think he really could end up being that person.
Agree completely.
100%. The last superlative we're going to talk about today is the boom or bust product. The player that could either really impress or kind of just vanish into the abyss that is the NFL depth charts.
Now, here's the one that I'm going to give Brooks. I know he's analyst Brooks Walton. I am going to give him the free pass to spin zone this one as much as he wants, because we are talking about guys you played football with, and I get it. So we're not going to sit here and make you drag people, but I'll go ahead and lead this one off right here, Dylan. Tank Bigsby's got boom or bust written all over him, and I say that Tank Bigsby he was a hell of a football player and a damn good running back at Auburn. And I'm bummed that he didn't get to work under better schemes while he was at Auburn, because that guy could have really shot up some boards if he was presented with a better opportunity maybe than he was in his last couple seasons. That being said, running backs are such a tough market at the professional level. It is, if you are not electric one year, you are out of a job next year. If you're not an established guy that people know has multiple years of good resume, it's tough to find yourself in another organization should your contract expire. And your lifespan is so short. Not everyone can be Frank Gore. It's unfortunately true. I mean, there's always a new shiny running back that has less miles on him, has been hit by less guys at the professional level, and that can stay healthier for longer. It's just the nature of the game. All that to say, Tank Bigsby could be a guy that in 2 to 3 years could have a truly electrifying campaign. He just has to go to the right place. So I've got Tank in this one, and I say that He could be a really great player. I don't think he'll be a bad player, but I don't know that he would necessarily fall into that bust category, but I don't know if he'll ever hit that boom either, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I completely agree 100% because he's also my answer. Going through the last few Auburn running backs, I mean, first ones come to mind, the last Cameron Artis-Payne, Kerryon Johnson, Corey Grant was on a team for a little bit, and did I already say Trey Mason?
You did not say Trey Mason.
Trey Mason.
You said Cap.
Cap, yeah, there we go. He was a Panther. Don't remember Cameron Artis-Payne on the Panthers because he didn't play. The thing is, Auburn produces running backs in the NFL. And I got to say, a lot of them don't turn to stars. I think the last couple ones I can remember that were stars, Cadillac, Ronnie Brown. And those are misnomers because those are like signature, star-studded, all-time Auburn running backs. And yeah, Trey Mason might be one too because of 2013. But I wouldn't put him in top 5 Auburn running backs. Just me, though.
I wouldn't either.
Ben Tate, another one, just kind of a mid-tier running back. And honestly, out of all the ones I named outside of Cadillac and Ronnie, Ben Tate was probably the best Auburn running back that was in the NFL from that period of time, just because he played for so long. And he was on the Texans, and he was the best running back on the Texans until Arian Foster got there and stole his job. Same thing with Trey Mason until what was his name? Todd Gurley took his job.
Who's that guy?
And so Kerryon was having a good career until someone else took his job. Tank Bigsby probably has more to offer to a team than Ben Tate or Trey Mason or Cameron Artis-Payne.
I would agree.
But that being said, I also see him not finding the right team. I can also see him not playing on the team. Just because, like you said, the running back lifespan, I think you have 2 years to really get your name on the map or you're out of the league. We saw with Kerryon Johnson. He was a really good running back for the Lions. Then he got hurt, and then in walks DeAndre Swift, and then out walks Kerryon Johnson. And
you noticing a trend here where Georgia running backs take the jobs of Auburn running backs?
Arian Foster. Was Arian Foster a Georgia running back?
No, but Todd Gurley and
DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift were.
Yeah.
Well, Cameron Artis-Payne, he got overtaken by a lot of other guys, one being Christian McCaffrey.
It happens. Brooke, your thoughts on the matter about boom or bust? Is it Tank? Or is it another guy? Do you want to spin zone this one and just say someone you think it could be a boom? Whatever you want to do. I know you played football with these guys, and I'm not going to put you in a position to talk down on your teammates.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. But it seems the biggest argument against Tank is not necessarily him at all. It's the position, and it's how much of a revolving door that the running back position is in the NFL. And that's just the nature of it. You hear people talk all the time about you can't take a running back too early. You can't do this, you can't do that. Like Christian McCaffrey, that one worked out well. Like I'm a Cowboys fan. Cowboys fans will always look back at taking Zeke early and be like, man, that might have been, we might have messed that one up. Like it's just really hard. Yeah. I mean, to be able to running back because of the beating that these guys take and just because of the direction that the NFL is running, they're becoming a lot more expendable, and that's not necessarily a good thing, but that's just how things are going. So yeah, the biggest argument sitting here and listening to you guys talk about Tank is he might be considered the biggest, boom or bust. Boom because he has next level star athleticism, absolutely 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we've known it, especially being Auburn fans. We've known it for years. I mean, he came in and immediately he's amazing. But yeah, it's just solely based off of the position that he plays. You never know, and you can't really trust anything. If you get really lucky getting a guy out of college who ends up being a pro running back for years, congratulations. You hit the lottery. You found somebody that, you could have just been lucky on. So I think Tank is definitely just a product of that's the position he plays, and that's what he's really good at. And it could work out for him, or he could be a victim of circumstance. You have no idea until it happens.
I think that's a great point, Brooks, and I don't think you can put it any better. It could be a victim of circumstance. It's just for those of you listening back home, to call a spade, it's hard to play running back in the NFL. It's hard to play in the NFL, period. It's very difficult to find yourself as a long-term running back in the NFL. And unfortunately, there have been a lot of guys who had, in my opinion, really high ceilings that just didn't get the opportunity to play again because there's always that new shiny model that you can go lease instead of buy. And it's just kind of the landscape of things. Dylan, I think that concludes our football rundown, correct?
I added one. I was going to get your thoughts on it real quick.
Sure.
Potential 2024 first rounder, a guy on the current team who we could see as a first rounder for next year's draft.
Ooh. I'll defer this one to Brooks if he wants to go first.
Hey, you got to give me a second here to try to figure that one out.
I'll say it. You put the ball on the tee for me?
Yeah.
Nehemiah Pritchett.
Pritchett.
DJ James is a safe bet. I think DJ James is a pretty safe bet. But I have a what were we going to say, Dylan?
I'm going to say DJ James is probably my pick.
Yeah, I figured we were going. It's got to be in the secondary. That's the only place that it makes sense. But Nehemiah Pritchett, I've said it once and I'll say it a million times. And if he makes me eat my words, then that's a damn shame because I think the kid's a really talented football player. This kid coming back for a year, even if this isn't the best year you've ever seen under Hugh Freeze in year one, he's got the opportunity and the platform to go play that brand of football we saw him play at the end of last year. Guys, we gave him a lot of crap last year about Nehemiah Pritchett gets burned and Nehemiah Pritchett can't play bump and run. That's just bullshit. When he's coached well, he can, and he's got all the athletic capacity in the world. This guy really could build himself a real resume in 2023 and find himself as a first rounder in 2024. And Dylan, I know that's the hot take that I'm going to come in with. I'm sure I'm going to get quoted on a graphic. That's fine. I'm super high on Nehemiah Pritchett. I know you're on DJ James, so I also was going to go ahead and give you that.
I mean, I got two actually, and surprisingly so, neither one of them is Nehemiah Pritchett. And to start off with DJ James, I mean, he's the best defensive back on the team, and that's no question. I think if anyone, like I always say, Nehemiah Pritchett and DJ James reminded me so much of Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean. And Carlton Davis was a first-round pick, or at least high second-round pick. It was one of the two. I'm blanking. Noah Igbinoghene was a first-rounder. That's who I'm thinking of. Carlton Davis was an early second. And I see a lot of DJ James and Carlton Davis. Or backwards. I see a lot of Carlton Davis and DJ James. And that's just my first pick. But a guy I'm going to really talk about for a second. My other first-round pick, Gunnar Britton, the big right tackle now from Western Kentucky, who is already one of the best tackles in the league before he came to Auburn. Now he's one of the best tackles in the league on Auburn. And I compared him all the time. I think he's going to be the best tackle Auburn has had since Greg Robinson. And people forget to remember, Greg Robinson went number 2 overall in the 2014 NFL draft.
Jamel Dean Gunnar in the second round, by the way.
Yeah, Jamel Dean won the second round. Carlton Davis was the other one. They were different drafts. Carlton Davis was third round?
Jamel Dean was Carlton Davis was second round. Jamel Dean was 94th overall pick in the 2019 NFL draft.
Whoa. Yeah, but
that was gonna bug me.
It was a steal anyways, no matter what. He's one of the best players in the
you
league
think? If I could take a DB like that in the third round every year, I would trade my first round picks. I'm not even lying.
Yeah, my two guys, DJ James and Gunnar Britton. Brooks, you got anybody?
I think picking the secondary is always a safe bet. We talked about it before, but just something about the type of guys that we bring in and then the way that we develop them. Like, I mean, you're not going to find better receivers than what they're going to go up against all the time. And yeah, I mean, we've just been naming off DB after DB that's come out of Auburn, and you just love to you love to see like a school that can produce people and that continues to bring in people to replace the people that have left and gone on to the pros. So yeah, I think you can kind of take your pick of a few guys out of the DB room, and I really like the look of, if you were to call out somebody, you got to just say somebody from there. Yeah.
Brooks, are you saying that Auburn's DBU?
I was about to say it. I was actually going to say it.
I don't know if we can come out and say that, but
congratulations!
I think you got
just made the title for the show. By the way, I can see it in all caps right now. Is Auburn DBU?
There we go. Yeah, we can do that.
I think they're top 5, top 10 in defensive back.
Oh, top 10 for sure. No, like Auburn. If Auburn continues this trajectory over the next half decade, there is a serious argument. LSU can kiss my rear that Auburn is on that level of DBs. I'm not kidding.
I mean, yeah. I think Tyrann Mathieu and was Derek Stingley even all that great? Grant Delpit has kind of fallen. Derek Stingley was good in his year one. Sorry, I don't watch the Texans. I'm part of the 99% of the NFL fans that chose to watch anybody else but the Texans. But Derek Stingley, I think, is probably the best one LSU's produced since, good Lord, Tyrann Mathieu.
Probably Tyrann Mathieu, yeah.
I'm forgetting a lot of Grant Delpit didn't really work out when he got drafted to the Browns. There's a cornerback that I am just missing out on. The guy who transferred to Alabama. I can't remember his name.
I can't either.
He just fell off after he went to Bama. But I mean, looking at it, if you look at the team in general, I mean, Bijan Robinson from Texas is getting a lot of first round whispers. If Jarquez Hunter were to pop off next season, if he was to put up Bijan Robinson numbers in the SEC,
okay,
he could be a first rounder.
This is our good signal for us to close Bruce Day with Brooks, because if we're starting to talk about Jarquez Hunter going in the first round, taking a running back in anyone in that top 32 picks next year, I don't know, man.
It happens. There's always one every year.
I know.
We saw it last year. It's going to happen this year with Bijan. Jarquez could be that dude next year.
Okay. Quote that. Clip it. Is Auburn DBU? That's the title of the show, and we're going to keep rolling forward. We're about to go talk a little bit of men's basketball. Before we do that, Brooks, dude, appreciate you coming on, man. Always a blast.
Always, yeah. I really like this. I really appreciate it. It's good to talk ball.
It's always fun to talk ball with you, Brooks. We'll see you next Tuesday, same place, same time.
Always. Yep.
All right, here. Brooks Walton, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, big thank you to Brooks Walton. Always fun to have Bruce Days with Brooks. Talk ball, talk gridiron with the man, the myth, the legend himself, and the Auburn football alumnus. Always a ton of fun. We look forward to hearing from him again next Tuesday, as we do every Tuesday. But the show must go on, and we must keep this thing on the road. I did a little wardrobe switch through on the Rangers hat. Just want to let everybody know. Rags and 6. All right, I'm not worried. We got this.
And just so you're aware, he did this because he got his feelings a little hurt on Twitter.
I did not get my feelings hurt on the Bird app. I want everybody to know I'm sticking to my guns, going back to Newark. We're going to go win game 5, go bring it back to the Garden. We're going to win this thing at MSG. We're going to call it signed, sealed, delivered. Rags and 6, no problem, no questions asked. It's all good. All the Devils fans, they're getting some false hope right now. I'm so going to get quoted on that, and this is going to show up on Twitter. It's going to be so bad. Anyways. How long you been sitting on that?
I just wrote it up.
Perfect. For those of you listening to the audio version, he just threw up a banner that says AKA got his feelings hurt. Let's bring it back to Auburn and let's talk Auburn basketball real quick. Start with the men's part of the hardwood. I know that we're going to kind of make this an abbreviated conversation today. Kind of been quiet, and that's okay. It's kind of the nature of the game right now. And then we'll pivot over to what was a crazy weekend in Diamond Sports. Dylan, let's go.
Yeah, it gets started hot and heavy. We're going to go right into our 2024 men's basketball roster outlook or depth chart outlook, whichever one. And I think we're going to pretty much agree that 1 and 2 is Aiden Holloway and Denver Jones.
Sure.
I think you go ahead and go further than that. Your 6th man, your guy right off the bench, is going to come in for either or Trey Donaldson.
Sure.
So that already wraps up 3 guys right there. And then you got your 3, 4, and 5, which, as it stands right now, we have no idea how any of these positions are going to go out.
So here's where my headspace is at right now, Dylan. We've really not seen any big splash transfer at that 4-5 stretch 4 position, whatever you want to call it. I'm still operating under the assumption that you return Janai Broom and Jalen Williams. I'm operating under that assumption. And I think that kind of plugs things in and makes things a little bit smoother. You've got your 3/4, probably Jalen Williams, probably more 3 than anything. I think you would agree. And then you've got Janai Broom at that stretch 4-5 position. I don't know if this means you need to start Dylan Cardwell. I mean, what's going on with Alan Flanagan? Do we even know what's going on there?
No.
What the deal is with that?
I heard nothing.
It sounds like there could be traction either or. I mean, if Alan Flanagan's back, I actually don't know that he doesn't fit into this starting rotation. I'm not sure. I just don't know how you go about that otherwise. But then when you look at that bench, like you mentioned, Trey Donaldson, you've got in what capacity does Dylan Cardwell play this year, right? What does that look like? And then you've got Katie Johnson coming off that bench. Lior Berman coming off. I would be interested to see. I almost, if I'm an Auburn fan, probably want Lior Berman to come in and be kind of a 3-and-D guy and really kind of try to mold him into that. If you've got one more year of him, and we know that he can be a sharpshooter if you give him the looks. I would not be angry at Lior Berman taking 6 or 7 shots a game. That would not be something that I would think would be negative. I think, as a matter of fact, I think it'd be quite the opposite for Auburn. I think you're already improving your perimeter game this year with the addition of Denver Jones. Excuse me. But right now, as it stands, this is a team that's going to be kind of middle of the pack in the SEC, upper middle of the pack. I don't think that they can't be great. I just don't know that this is a roster that's deep enough right now as it stands without going to get, in my opinion, you need another 4, and probably would not hurt my feelings to see another 5 come toward the plains and see what that mold might look like. But as it stands right now, I think this is probably about a 24, 25 win team when it's all said and done. And I don't think that that's a fair analysis, Dylan. Thoughts?
Yeah, and you got to talk about if you bring in guys like Matthew Cleveland, you brought in Kenny Johnson, who brings a lot of perimeter shooting. He shot 30% from the 3-point line while at Huntsville. And if you say it's just because he went to Huntsville, no matter what, even if it's a small school, those basketball players are still very good basketball players. And I think Kenny Johnson is also going to be a very good depth piece. And I think he'll come in for either Matthew Cleveland or Jay Will. And I think what it looks like right now, I think Matthew Cleveland might be headed to Auburn. I wouldn't crystal ball it, but I would hope so. And with that I would think Matthew Cleveland at the 3, Jay Will at the 4, and unless you were to get a 5, you'd have Janai Broome at the stretch 5. If not, I think Jay Will has a higher chance of getting drafted than the other 2 guys in the draft. So that could put Janai Broome at the 4, and then that leaves plenty of scholarship room for you to pick up a 5 from the transfer portal. And
Sure.
it would, and I think a team consistent of going top to bottom, Aiden Holloway, Denver Jones, Matthew Cleveland, Janai Broome at the 4, and then a transferred 5 come in with Trey Donaldson, Chaney Johnson, Katie Johnson, all coming off the bench. I think that goes from your 25 win team to probably a 30 plus 35 win team. I think Matthew Cleveland gives you that ability.
Dylan said national championship or bust.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
if you had Matthew Cleveland, I like 28, 27 or 28.
28. What about with a 5? Like
you got to remember, man, the SEC got better. I mean, they really did. I think Kentucky's going to be a very special group this year. They're young, but I think they're special. Arkansas has, holy cow, the job that Eric Musselman has done in the portal has been remarkable.
He's a starter of just fishing in a deep end over there.
Hey, he's got to do what he's got to do. Fish where the fish are. Mike White at Georgia has made strides this offseason. And I know you're losing Cairo Quindo, whatever, to Oregon, which, by the way, that kid, we've said it time and time again, he's special. That's a special basketball player. And then look at what Buzz is doing at Texas A&M. Tennessee's not going anywhere. They may be losing a young man, Julian Phillips, who was nearly an Auburn Tiger not even 12 months ago. But that being said, this league is deep, man. I think that this is going to be another one of those years where it's a dogfight up there at the top. I don't know that Alabama will be back in that conversation. Matter of fact, I feel quite comfortable in saying that I don't know that they will be in SEC regular season contention, but I don't know, man. It's going to be a grind, and I don't know that there's a sweep in the cards anywhere. Missouri got better. I mean, this is a group that the SEC is just the premier league, so it's tough for me to go and say 30 wins. That being said, let's flip to the other side of the hardwood. I don't want to spend too much time on this, Dylan, because I know we had a long episode of Bruce Day with Brooks. That's great. NFL Draft's coming out on Thursday. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. But let's go over to women's basketball. I just wanted to ask you real quick and get your quick thoughts before we hop over to Diamond Sports. We've seen Coach Jay and company really put in the work in the guard room, shockingly enough, out of the portal. And then you've got a couple of freshmen coming in to play bigs. This group I don't think is done. I think you're looking at 1, maybe 2 more transfer additions before you can go and play SEC basketball this year. Where are the pieces you're looking for, not necessarily specific names, but position-wise, where are you looking for Coach Jay to go bolster that lineup?
What has it been? 4 transfers in, and 3 out of the 4 have been guards.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yeah. So you lose Aisha Coulibaly.
Yes.
And several other players, and that forward position has been decimated. And picked up a lot of guards to make up room. But you really need forwards. You really need some perimeter shooters, some perimeter defenders. You need that. And I think that's just all Auburn needs, all Coach Jay needs right now to make a quality roster. I mean, you got 2 5s coming in from recruiting, so you don't really need those. 3 and 4s is all you really need.
Completely agree. And it's one of those situations where it's like, if it happens, it happens. If not, you can kind of play a little small ball this year. but you lose, like you said, Aisha Coulibaly, Roman Levy comes to mind for sure in terms of losing some size there. And you would kind of like to think that Coach Jay is not all in on small ball. I don't know that it works in the SEC anymore, especially in the women's game, man. I mean, look at what the successful programs in the SEC have had as of late. And then you look at South Carolina's, you look at the Tennessees, you look at the national champion LSU's and say, oh, wow, these teams are tall. And that all that to say, I don't expect Auburn to be in that South Carolina, LSU, Tennessee conversation, but I do expect them to be kind of floating their name right there in that next pack this year. Just even after the house cleaning, I think that this is going to be a different approach. You're going to see a different brand of basketball, and I'm excited to watch it. Let's go over to Diamond Sports. Let's talk drama in what could be a reality TV series following the Auburn baseball team and their big-time series win. I mean, this is huge, guys, over Mississippi State this past weekend, and we had one of those. Dylan, cue it up on Sunday afternoon.
Walk off.
I love that so much. So awesome. You got a walk-off on Sunday afternoon to seal the deal over Mississippi State. Cooper McMurray, so him. We've known this. Dylan, Auburn was a couple of runs away from this being a sweep this weekend.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got blown up a little bit pitching wise outside of Friday, and I mean that speaks to the work that Vail did on Friday, correct? Which what else is new? Tommy Vail is special in my opinion. How big of a deal was it for Auburn to get the job done this weekend when you're looking at the bigger picture?
I mean, it was huge, and to even look further, I was impressed with not all of the bullpen, but at least one of them after on Sunday. That is Connor Copeland. I think stepped in after Zach Crotchfeld gave up 4 runs. Will Cannon gave up 5. In walks Connor Copeland. He gave up 2 runs, but he pitched, I think, 3 really good innings before he gave up a run. And I think it was before he even gave up a hit, really. And I mean, it speaks volumes. He earned the win, rightfully so. He gave up, 2 less runs than anybody else in Auburn bullpen. And I think that this speaks volumes. I can't really speak very much on it because I was going to talk about the fact that the offense, the batting, the hitting. Oh, my goodness, Cooper Murray. SEC Player of the Week, that is, hitting 5 home runs in 4 games. Kirby is him still. Everyone on this team can rake.
Yeah, the offense is simply not the problem here, and that's kind of been the tell of the tale all year long. We've seen all these comps to that 2021 season and about how rough things were because the offense wasn't a problem. The bullpen was blowing games. Auburn is in a unique spot right now, Dylan. And we talk about it a lot. That target number for SEC wins is 10. You have 7. You're 7-11 at 7-11 in the conference. Fun little callback to a gas station Slurpee. Anyways. And you've got 4 conference series left. You don't have a single easy conference series left. Don't get me wrong, because there's a couple teams that are going to be fighting you like hell so that they can go to Hoover. But if you can find a way to win 3 games out of these 4 series, so take 1 game out of 3 of the 4 series, you've got South Carolina and Columbia. If you can get out of there with 1 win, you are in such good shape. If you can take down LSU just Friday night, just throw Tommy and win the Friday night game. Anything else is gravy. Then you're in great shape. You've also got to travel to Oxford. Ole Miss, pretty damn bad this year. Not saying to count them out because the Rebs don't want to be the team that gets left out from the dinner table. But if you can grab 1 or 2 there, you can lock yourself into good shape. And this team's playing in the postseason. And at some point, folks, even if you're not hosting a regional, which narrator Auburn will not be, even if you're not hosting a regional, nothing's more dangerous than a Butch Thompson team that's going dancing. That is something that it's a team you don't want to play because for whatever reason, even when it doesn't make sense, his group seem to just put it all together. And if Auburn can find 3 wins, and then you've got Missouri round out the end of the season, homestand against Missouri, to round out the end of SEC play, man, you're doing all right. You got to win your midweeks between now and then. You've got Troy, Samford, and Jacksonville State, right?
While we're talking,
Yes. Troy, Samford,
South Carolina.
Troy, Samford, Jacksonville State are your 3 non-conference remaining opponents in order.
Yes.
You got to win all 3 of those, without a doubt. I mean, I think you'll probably find regardless, but to help yourself with that postseason seeding and to make Hoover not matter, take care of your midweeks. And it starts with the bullpen. They did enough this weekend. A series win. We say it all the time, Dylan. A win is a win is a win is a win. Doesn't matter how it gets done. Got the job taken care of. I've said it all season, Dylan. Tell me if I'm wrong. This team's not as good as we thought they were going to be, but I never count out a Butch Thompson team down the stretch.
And I said Kirby earlier. I meant to say Irish, but also huge shout out to catcher Nate LaRue, because we have to mention that hitting his first home run of the season. And honestly, one of the first balls I've seen him hit in a hot minute, where I was like, "Oh, that ball's going far." If you can get Nate LaRue to hit more like that,
Nate, I'm sorry.
You don't even need the bullpen anymore, really. If Nate LaRue is hitting home runs, you don't need pitching anymore.
If Nate LaRue's getting on base,
you know what? Yeah, that. If Nate LaRue is hitting the ball
in play and getting on base safely,
we are in good. They are in good shape.
They are in great shape. Let's flip over on the side of the diamond before we round this thing out and say goodbye to everybody real quick on the Tuesday installment of the College Loop. Auburn Softball. Hello. T-Town. It's a place where Auburn Softball has been cursed since 2013.
I think 16.
16?
Last time
Whatever. It's still 7 years.
Yeah.
I mean, last time they won, that Auburn Softball won in Tuscaloosa, I just got a driver's license. So there's that. This team has looked so much adversity in the face, and so many people saying they're too young, they're not good enough. You know, like this is just not the pieces aren't in order, and they have flipped them the metaphorical bird time after time after time. Auburn softball, and I'm going to sound like I'm sunshine pumping right now. If you got Maddie Penta pitching the way that she's pitching right now, nobody's doing it better in college softball than Maddie Penta. And then you've got Shelby Lowe, Annabelle Weidra right behind them, a solid group. And then this offense is figuring things out the way this offense is figuring things out. Don't let the Tigers get hot. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and you bring up Maddie Penta. I mean, holy cow.
Ice in her damn veins.
She looked at I think she had the winning run was up to bat, and she sat her down.
She doesn't care. That's the way she goes about every single AB the exact same way.
And I think she pitched, 30 or 40 less pitches than Montana Fouts did. And Montana Fouts is also considered one of the best pitchers in the country, let alone the SEC, in the country. And just the way everyone is hitting the ball. I mean, Bree Ellis isn't hitting home runs as prevalent as she did last season, but she's hitting the ball out of play, and she's racking up RBIs left and right. She got Kennedy Cooper got her home, and Denver Bryant's figuring things out. She hit homers in back-to-back games. It's crazy. And you're getting people who aren't known for hitting, you're getting people outside of Bree Ellis and Nelia Peralta hitting home runs. And you're getting people besides those girls getting on base, getting runs, getting RBIs. And then you go, even if the offense is stalling, you don't have to worry about it with Maddie Penta.
As long as you can scrape a couple together.
And she pitched back-to-back, I say back-to-back games, Saturday and Sunday. And her arm just doesn't get tired. I think she's got bionic installment somewhere. Like that arm is right? That thing's not human, right?
That's not human. I like Auburn softball to host a regional this year. I still really like that take.
Sure.
And dude, like I said, don't let the Tigers get hot. This team can really jockey to be maybe an SEC champion come tournament time if they can string it together. I wouldn't want to play them right now, and I wouldn't want to step in the box against Maddie Penta because I simply talk about sports. I would get rung up so quick I would look stupid. That all to say, I'm
mean,
Harrison Tarr. Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna say she's pitching softballs about as fast as a baseball goes.
Oh, yeah,
so.
no, I would have no reaction time and I would look stupid. All that to say, I'm Harrison Tarr at by Harrison Tarr on the Bird app. If you want to check out any of my written work, that's on the Auburn Daily, theauburndaily.com. More of my podcasting available on the Auburn Daily Show every Wednesday and Friday. I almost said on and Wednesdays and Fridays, which would still work. But on the Auburn Daily Show Wednesdays with the dangerous Dylan Larck and Fridays with the legendary Lindsey Crosby. Also, if you want to check out any more of our work, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell right here on the College Loop, growing at a rapid rate, almost at 200 subs, almost Dylan's turn to do a little TikTok dancing. So looking forward to that. Thank you guys for all the love and support. Appreciate y'all once again. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Dylan, let's get out of here, man.
Yep. And I'm Dylan Larck at your boy Tank on Twitter. I'm starting a petition to move mine up to 500 subs, but I'm also starting another petition to where we can move Auburn softball against South Carolina to April 28th. I mean, that'd be lovely. Help your boy out, give him a birthday gift, beating South Carolina on his birthday. That'd be great. But yeah, catch me on the Auburn Daily Show every Monday, where yesterday I had my own little solo show talking about update on the transfer portal, and Wednesday, of course, with Harrison Tarr. And some of my written work is also on the Auburn Daily website. There we go. I almost said the AuburnDailyShow.com. That's not a thing. But yeah, go follow the College Loop literally everywhere. If you want to listen to us, you go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. And if you want to follow social media, you can go watch us on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. But again, no MySpace. But I did say, get us to 1,000 subs on YouTube, we'll get a MySpace. And we'll use it. I swear.
For something.
We will use it. I don't know who else is using it, but we'll use it.
We'll do it.
And with all that being said, it's been a College Loop podcast.